It's another Wednesday night, and this night is one of positivity and progressive stories. You can say News Extra to the next level. Even the Super Eagles have been super with the bronze they have just collected in faraway Egypt. We'll bring that to you in the course of our bulletin. And on the national front, it's good news for job seekers as the president himself has given his word on it. The good news is not only for job seekers, but for farmers, livestock breeders, those in the power sector, and much more. The National Assembly has been busy as the Senate confirms appointment of a new Chief Justice of Nigeria. House of Representatives moves to get the Edo State House of Assembly up and running, and NTA DG went calling. Now, there is much more from governance, economy, security, religion, sports, and of course, your weather focus. So just sit back and enjoy the bulletin as I will enjoy bringing it to you. I am Fatima Umaruba, and this is News Extra. The federal government has promised to do whatever it takes towards bringing back the numerous job opportunities exported to other countries at the expense of Nigerians through unnecessary importation of goods and services. President Muhammadu Buhari, who stated this at an audience with the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association, said Nigeria has everything required to meet the basic needs of its citizens. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the report.
With membership drawn from all sectors of the economy and all sizes of business, the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association is committed to, among others, promoting harmonious business environment towards engendering not only productivity but prosperity for all. This visit by a delegation of the association to the State House is therefore an opportunity for President Muhammadu Buhari to give an update on the policy focus of his administration towards supporting job creation and economic growth.
Nigeria is a blessed country with abundant resources. Our history of unnecessary importation of the most basic items meant we were exporting jobs to other countries at the expense of our own citizens. This administration is determined to bring these jobs back to Nigeria.
President Buhari said the private sector remains the main platform for inclusive growth and therefore promised to sustain efforts at creating the enabling environment for Nigerian businesses to flourish and grow.
This journey is a long one that requires patience, understanding, and perseverance. I would therefore encourage you to continue to engage government by providing honest and constructive feedback. Together, we can build a Nigeria that we'll all be proud of.
Acting President, Nigeria Employers Consultative Association, Taiwo Adeniyi, congratulated President Buhari on his re-election and appreciated him for keeping faith with his promise of partnership with the private sector towards growing the economy and improving the well-being of Nigerians.
We recognize the landmark interventions that your administration had implemented in the past 4 years, which laid a solid foundation and building block upon which our dear country will thrive. We in the organized private sector affirm our fearless commitment to support and partner with your government in the tasks ahead, especially in implementing your economic policy initiatives aimed at unlocking our undoubted economy potentials.
While enumerating excesses and contradictions by regulatory agencies, high cost of doing business, and concerns over the likely increase in taxes as key challenges threatening business survival and competitiveness, Mr. Taiwo Adeniyi made a case for intervention by the president. Established in 1957 as Voice of Business, the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association provides a forum for dialogue between the government and the private sector workers on labor and social policy issues. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
On the African Continental Free Trade Agreement Nigeria recently signed to join 54 other African countries has been described as a move which can create vast business and economic potentials for the country. Guests on Tuesday Live, however, want collective engagement of all tiers of government and the organized private sector to fully harness the benefits of the trade agreement. Do India reports.
The Continental Free Trade Agreement endorsed by 54 countries in Africa as a strategic policy is to create intra-African investment, market opportunities and wider trade relations amongst member countries. Guests on NTS Tuesday Live stressed the need to fashion out a policy framework for proper synergy between the Nigerian Customs Service and the country's trade partners. They also emphasized the need to increase investment in the agricultural sector through public-private partnership such that will assist farmers expand their production capacity of exportable produce.
This initiative is the best thing that has happened to Africa, because today we are going to look at ourselves now and retweak our thinking, our orientation.
That means it is not only for the trader himself, but it's also for the manufacturer. It also goes beyond trade to services.
The projection by President Muhammadu Buhari to take over 100 million Nigerians out of poverty in 10 years, they say, will be fast-tracked if concerted effort towards reviving the power and security sectors are made.
You know, our standard conformity assessment institution, let us make them up and running.
Our agricultural produce with very good packaging will go a long way, not only in Africa, even outside Africa.
With the agreement now at its harmonization stage, guests on the show believe that this policy, when implemented, will help the federal, states and local governments as well as entrepreneurs boost their income generation as well as address the massive unemployment in the country. In Abuja, Doing, Dia, NT News.
Large-scale agricultural activities require a lot of application of machineries and inputs, especially when a given country targets economic rejuvenation and food sufficiency. One major input in the development of agricultural production is fertilizer at an affordable rate. No wonder the federal government attaches high premium to agricultural production with provision of inputs to ensure food security. Ilyasu Ali Yakubu examines the revitalization of fertilizer blending plants across the country by the federal government for the purposes of making the product easily accessible to farmers and providing employment opportunities to Nigerians.
Nigerian farmers have been battling with the scarce availability of fertilizers in the country for many years. And even when the product is available, the high cost of the product makes it difficult for farmers to access. This situation also affected the production capacity of the 20 fertilizer blending plants, where only 5 out of them produce less than 10% of installed capacity. Worried by these threats to national food security, the Buhari administration signed an MOU with the Moroccan government in 2016 towards addressing key issues affecting production of fertilizers in the country. Under this agreement, the Moroccan government supplies Nigeria with phosphate, a major ingredient for NPK fertilizer. Today, more than 11 of the 20 moribund fertilizer plants have been revived by the federal government. This is Boko's fertilizer blending plant in Plateau State. One of the many revitalized fertilizer plants across the country by the Buhari administration for the simple reason of making the product more accessible and affordable to farmers at government-approved price of 5,000.
Nigeria is among the few countries around the world blessed with good climate suitable for agricultural activities, including livestock production. However, while the country is making significant progress in crop production, there is little achievement in the livestock subsector over the years due to what agriculturists attribute to the neglect of the sector by successive administrations, coupled with environmental factors associated with climate change. In this report, Musa Baba Aliu takes a look at how best to maximize the potentials of the subsector towards improving the nation's GDP.
Nigerian currencies have features of prominent Nigerians. The backside have in them pictures depicting Nigeria's economic values. This cut across agriculture, oil and gas, as well as tourism. Now, let's look at 200 Naira notes. The back has the image of cattle, groundnut pyramid, and assorted fruits. The 5 kobo stamp of 1973 also depicts the country's livestock production through ranching. Economists say this indicates the importance of livestock production in Nigeria's economy.
It's of course an economic venture. Economic in the sense that the livestock rearer derives his daily source of income from it, and then of course the government has a way of actually introducing taxation for this cattle in order to eat.
Formerly in Nigeria, grazing areas and stock routes were designated and veterinary offices established in strategic locations across the country.
Where during the dry season, the pastoralists that are actually moving about will be encouraged to stay on farmers' field to actually manure the place, and then once it is rainy season, the farmer wants to plant, they actually move to other areas because grasses have actually grown all over the place. So they move to other areas where they can get free range, and then they actually feed their livestock in such areas.
Today, most of the grazing areas and stock routes established for the development of livestock in Nigeria have been taken over by urbanization. For instance, Abuja used to be a major stock route in the 60s before the creation of Abuja as the federal capital.
That Nigeria loses 6% of its vegetative cover annually. So if you go 6%, it means in the next 10 years, we'll have lost 60% of our vegetative cover.
Agriculture economists are of the view that with proper investment and enabling environment, Nigeria will be generating more than $10 million annually from livestock.
There has to be an initiative that will bring about understanding between communities, and more especially between the pastoralist communities and other communities in the country.
The 2011 National Agricultural Sample Survey indicates that Nigeria was housing an estimated 19.5 million cattle, 72.5 million goats, 41.3 million sheep, 7.1 million pigs, and 28,000 camels. The country also had 145 million chickens, 11.6 million dogs, and 974,000 donkeys. Musa Baba Aliu, NTA News.
Now, thank you very much, Musa Babali, for that information. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari has enjoined all Nigerians to ignore the recent call by the Northern Elders Forum to Fulani herders, asking them to leave the southern part of Nigeria. A statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, all citizens of Nigeria are free to move and live within any part of the country they please, whether or not they are originally from there. The spokesman assured Nigerians that the Buhari administration is fully devoted to finding a lasting solution to the farmer-herder clashes in different parts of Nigeria. Now, the Chairman, Christian Association of Nigeria, Northern Region, Reverend Yakubu Pam, has appealed to those fanning the embers of disunity to shield their swords and leverage on the nation's diversity to foster more unity and development. He spoke with Timothy Yusuf in Abuja.
The need for Nigerians to coexist peacefully is again on the front burner, especially with the seeming increase in hate and provocative speeches emanating from some quarters. Northern Region Chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria says Nigeria is God's creation, imploring citizens to do only the things that appease the Almighty Creator.
Nigerians at this point must all agree that we must survive, we must love one another, irrespective of our differences in religion, our differences in ethnicity. We must agree to live together. And those who are even leading the drum of war I want to remind every Nigerian that if we allow it, they have the money to fly out immediately. We will be the one to be suffering, and we will be the casualties.
Speaking on the gains of remaining as a single united country under God, Reverend Pam enjoins citizens to toe the line of dialogue as the only means to dispute resolution.
And so we're to live peacefully with one another.
He cautions that provocative and hate speeches can only breed hatred and disunity among the people, stressing that citizens must learn to shun all forms of ethnic and religious bias for the overall good of Nigeria and Nigerians. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NT News.
The brave action of Imam Abubakar Abdullahi of Ngar village in Bariki Ladi local government area of Plateau State has continued to be recognized globally and has put Nigeria in the limelight for freedom of religion and tolerance. Imam Abdullahi this evening in Washington, D.C., United States, joined 4 others foreign nationals to receive the first ever International Religious Freedom Award. A statement from the Office of the Spokesperson, United States Department of State, says Imam Abdullahi's action of risking his life to save members of another religious community numbering 262 who would have been killed by gunmen who carried out a coordinated killing on June 23, 2018 demonstrates his lifelong commitment to promoting interfaith understanding and peace. The 4 other recipients are Muhammad Youssef, a human rights activist from Sudan, Ivanio dos Santos of Brazil's Commission to Combat Religious Intolerance, William and Pascal of Iraqi's Hammurabi's Human Rights Organization, and Salpi of the religious track of the Cyprus peace process. The award will be streaming live at 11 p.m. on www.state.gov. And moving on, the All Progressives Congress notes public concerns over cases of violent crimes recorded in some parts of the country, particularly in the recent and unfortunate killing of Funke Olakunrin, daughter of Chief Ruben for Soranti. Leader the party, in a statement by its National Publicity Secretary Lanre Issa Onilu, joins President Muhammadu Buhari's administration and all peace-loving Nigerians in extending condolences to the family of the late Funke Olakunrin on the sad and painful loss. The APC calls on relevant security agencies to intensify ongoing efforts to rid the country of crimes, particularly the violent type. There is this saying that 2 hands are better than 1. If you doubt it, then visit Jigawa State, where the adage is playing out, courtesy of the complementary role being played towards addressing societal problems, especially poverty and insecurity. Abdullahi Garba bin Nkudu tells us how.
With a population ranking 8th position in Nigeria, put at more than 4 million people, majority of whom living in rural areas, Jigawa State is generally rural and agrarian in nature. The good news, however, is a decrease in income disparity index because the adjective of abject poverty among its people is currently 74.1%, down from 90.9% in 2007. This may not be unconnected with the various interventions resulting in raising socio-economic condition of its people. Only recently, the state government complements the federal government's social intervention program with the launch of Jigawa State Social Protection Policy. This is coupled with the robust agricultural activities, which rank the state's 7th largest crop producer, valued at more than 600 billion naira annually.
There is a significant reduction in terms of poverty in the state. Likewise, the issue of insecurity, if you look at it critically, it is if you look at the state of Jigawa, is one of the peaceful state in the country. There is also this sense of belonging among the poor and vulnerable people in the state.
The most interesting community poverty alleviation program is on the spiritual side, where the Dutse Emirate Council takes it upon itself a duty to collect and distribute zakat, and the beneficiaries cutting across religious and ethnic background.
The minimum paid to every individual The minimum was 10,000, but some areas get up to 50,000.
Well, from the above scenario, we can understand that the act of governance is a collective responsibility. The issue of reducing poverty in the land and resolving issues like insecurity requires the support of all. Perhaps the Jigawa example. From Duse, Abdullahi Garba Bermentidi, LTN News.
You said it all, Abdullahi. Now, the process of establishing public infrastructure and facilities for national development, particularly in the area of science and technology, begins with capacity building. In line with this assertion and the inherent profits, the federal government has approved the training of 60 Nigerian engineers in China who will operate its proposed transformer manufacturing line and high voltage testing laboratory under the auspices of National Agency for Science and Engineering Institute, NASENI. Science correspondent Kieran Omayo, who attended an orientation program for the trainees, engineers sought to know aspects of the training considered relevant to the growth of indigenous capabilities in the energy value chain.
The engineers will undergo technical training in all facets of transformer manufacturing process, from core construction, cutting, staking, core dimension and coil to winding and insulation. It is expected that at the end of the 6-month training, the 60 engineers would have enhanced their competencies in modern transformer manufacturing techniques and high voltage testing. Permanent Secretary, Minister of Science and Technology, Mr. Bitrus Bakona Basu, described the training program as germane to the actualization of federal government's directive on the adoption of local content in the manufacturing sector.
The moment we begin to produce transformers, we will consume what we have produced and importation will be reduced, thereby reducing the consumption of depletion of foreign reserve and improving the economy.
For the Executive Vice Chairman of NASENI, Professor Mohammed Haruna, the program is the first step towards achieving indigenous manufacturing of transformers and testing of high voltage.
Already in Power Equipment and Electrical Machinery Development Institute,